Welcome, curious minds, to another deep dive. Today we're embarking on an extraordinary journey into some really ancient wisdom. We're venturing into Book 1 of the glorious Veda Purana. Now, for those new to it, the Veda Purana is a foundational Sanskrit text of Hinduism. It's one of the 18 Mahapurats, and it's uniquely focused on Vishnu as the supreme deity. Our mission today is to explore the major cosmological, symbolic, and philosophical teachings found in its first book, aptly titled Creation. And we're going to go chapter by chapter. Think of it as a guided tour, sort of through an ancient Hindu understanding of the universe, its origins, and humanity's profound place within it all. We'll uncover surprising facts, I think, profound spiritual insights, and maybe even some answers to those universal questions that have puzzled humanity for, well, millennia. Let's jump right in. So the Veda Purana opens with this quintessential guru-disciple interaction. It really sets the stage for all the profound knowledge that follows. We meet the sage Maitreya, a student who respectfully approaches his venerable guru, Parashara. And Maitreya's curiosity isn't just, academic. He's already mastered the Vedas and legal texts. But his questions, they go so much deeper. They reflect that universal human desire for true foundational understanding.
Which naturally leads us to ask, what exactly is Maitreya asking about? And his inquiry is incredibly comprehensive. It really serves as a kind of blueprint for the entire Purana. He wants to know about the world's origin, its composition, how it ends, the nature of its fundamental elements, the origins of gods, and, well, all other beings. But he doesn't stop there. Not at all. He's also intensely curious about the physical world, its mountains, its oceans, even the nature of the sun and other celestial luminaries. He delves into the families of gods, the vast cosmic cycles of time known as Manus and Manvantaras. These are, great ages governed by cosmic progenitors, which we'll definitely explore in depth in the eons and their intricate divisions. He asks about historical traditions, deeds of kings and seers, how Vyasa organized Vedic learning, and the specific duties of society's orders in the various stages of life. What's fascinating here is that Maitreya's questions form a complete philosophical and mythological blueprint for understanding the entire universe. It's a quest for truly holistic knowledge.
What's also fascinating is Parashara's unique lineage and sort of how he acquired the profound knowledge he's about to impart. Parashara's personal story, it begins with a tale of intense anger and crucially profound forgiveness. He recounts his fury when he learned his father was devoured by Rakshasas, demons. In his wrath, Parashara actually began a massive sacrifice, intending to exterminate every single demon.
Right. But here's where the narrative offers a critical philosophical insight. His wise grandsire, Vasudha, intervenes. He urges him to set aside his anger. Vasudha delivers this powerful message. Anger is futile because one merely suffers the outcomes of their own actions. He emphasizes that anger undoes fame and penance, and, more importantly, it blocks the way to heaven and even to liberation itself. So Parashara's act of forbearance, listening to his grandsire and stopping the destructive sacrifice, is a pivotal moment. It demonstrates incredible mercy. It truly is remarkable how the transmission of knowledge in this tradition isn't just academic. It's intricately tied to moral character, to spiritual discipline. Parashara's capacity to receive and transmit this profound wisdom is directly linked to his ability to transcend personal vengeance.
Exactly. And because of this extraordinary act of forbearance, Pulastya, a revered son of Brahma, grants Parashara the significant boon. He's blessed with the ability to comprehend all sacred texts, and specifically to create a Buddha. His mind, now unconfused and pure, will grasp the very nature of divinity. And this sets the stage for Parashara's grand declaration that begins the Pura. He promises Maitreya he will relate the whole Pura, starting with the foundational theological statement. The world arose from Vishnu and depends on him. He maintains it, he destroys it. He is the world. This really establishes the divine framework for everything that follows, clearly identifying Vaya as the supreme, all-encompassing reality. So ends chapter 1 in book 1 of the glorious Veda Purana. Okay, so this chapter kicks off with a truly powerful indication, profound praise of Veda. He's described as unchanging, pure, eternal, supreme, universal, and all-conquering. He is simultaneously Brahma, the creator, Hari, the preserver, and Siva, the destroyer. This portrayal immediately highlights Vishnu's paradoxical nature. He is one yet many, gross yet subtle, unseen yet seen, ultimately identified as the cause of liberation. The text emphasizes that he is the foundation of everything, smaller than the smallest, yet abiding in all.
Right. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, this isn't just, religious praise. It's a profound philosophical statement about the nature of the absolute, or Brahman, and its relationship to the manifest world. The idea that Vishnu is simultaneously the creator, preserver, and destroyer highlights a cyclical and unified understanding of existence. It suggests these seemingly distinct functions are all expressions of one singular ultimate reality. We also learn about the ancient lineage through which this knowledge was passed down, emphasizing its authenticity and sanctity, from Brahma to various sages and finally to Parashara himself. This chain of transmission, it really validates the spiritual authority of the teachings.
So it's not just a creation story, but it's a testament to how profoundly sacred they viewed the transmission of knowledge itself, right?
Exactly. It underscores the authenticity and spiritual authority passed down through those lineages, making it more than just a tale. The text then explores the nuanced forms of the absolute, explaining that Vishnu transcends color, form, description, and distinction. He is unfettered by decline, destruction, or birth. He simply exists. A key philosophical point is the name Vasudeva, which means he dwells in all locations and everything abides in him. This name encapsulates his omnipresence. The absolute, in the form of Vishnu, is described through four primary forms: spirit, Puru, the seen, Vyakta, the unseen, Avyakta, and time, Kala. Vishnu is superior to all these, yet incredibly, he is all of them. His actions are depicted as the play of children, a divine sport, or Leela, conveying this effortlessness and an intrinsic joyful nature to creation.
And to understand the primordial state before creation fully, the text introduces primal matter, or pratana. This is described as the basis for the unseen. It's subtle, eternal, simultaneously existent and non-existent, durable, boundless, ageless, and firm. It exists beyond our senses. Primal matter is composed of the three qualities, or gutas: purity, sattva, passion, rajas, and dullness, tamas. It is the origin of the world, but has no beginning, end, or middle, pervading everywhere between creations and dissolutions. The state before creation is beautifully articulated. There was neither day nor night, sky nor earth, light nor darkness, or any other quality. There was just a single entity, the absolute beyond hearing, thought, and other senses, composed of matter and of spirit. This reflects a state of pure potentiality, doesn't it? A sort of cosmic stillness.
Exactly, pure potentiality. And from this, we see the mechanism of cosmic manifestation. Vio, as Hari, enters matter and spirit, agitating them. This isn't a forceful physical contact, but rather a subtle excitation, like a scent exciting the mind. This agitation is his role as benefactor, initiating the cosmic dance. From this equilibrium of qualities, overseen by Vio, emerges greatness, Mahat, which is the cosmic intellect. From Mahat then arises threefold individuation, Ahakara, which is also pure, passionate, and elemental. This individuation is the source of both the gross elements and the senses, showing how consciousness and the material world begin to differentiate.
Right, and this step-by-step cosmic unfolding is just a fascinating sequence, detailing how the universe comes into being. It begins with elemental creation, or tanmata sarga. First, elemental individuation produces sound, from which space, akasha, arises. Space then gives rise to touch, and from touch, wind, vayu, is born. Wind produces form, leading to light, devas or agni. Light yields taste, from which water's opposites emerge, and finally waters bring forth scent, from which solid earth, thivi, arises. It's a very logical, sequential progression from the most subtle to the most dense.
It is, and what's truly remarkable here is that this is not just linear creation. Each subsequent element envelops the previous one. It creates this layered reality. So wind envelops space, light envelops wind, and so on. The subtle elements, sound, touch, form, taste, and scent, are described as indistinct, while the gross elements, space, wind, light, water, and earth, become distinct as they combine with their qualities.
And as the material world is forming, so too does consciousness and the senses. The organs of the senses are said to arise from individuation marked by passion, including the 5 senses for perception and the 5 senses for action. The mind is considered the 11th sense, and it, along with the other senses, arises from individuation marked by purity. They're considered pure. Following the manifestation of elements and senses, the formation of the cosmic egg, or Brahmatya, is detailed. The elements possessing different energies unite into a single mass to create. Overseen by spirit, this egg forms and slowly increases like a bubble on water resting on primordial waters. It is described as the natural and excellent abode of Vishnu when he takes the manifest form of Brahma. Right. This highlights Vishnu's continuous and pervasive presence within the cosmos. He abides unmanifest outside the egg, but within it, he takes the manifest form of Brahma, the active creator. The egg itself has this intricate internal structure. Mountains as membranes, internal waters as oceans, mountains, lands, oceans, heavenly bodies, the threefold worlds, gods, humans, all are contained within this cosmic egg. And it's wrapped by successive enveloping layers, water, fire, wind, space, and other elements, each 10 times greater than the one within. Finally, the entire structure is covered by greatness and then the unseen. It's like a cosmic coconut.
Exactly, like a cosmic coconut. This layered cosmology shows a deeply interconnected and ordered universe. It's here that we see Vishnu's cyclical activities and triple roles in the cosmic play. As Brahma, he sets about creation. As Byon, he preserves the world. And as Rudra, he devours the universe at the eon's conclusion. Post-dissolution, everything is reduced to a single ocean, and the highest lord reclines on his serpent couch. When he awakens, he creates the world once more. This emphasizes that the one Lord, Janardana, is Brahma, Vishnu, and Siva for creation, preservation, and destruction. He is the creation, the creator, the preserver, and the destroyed. The text finally clarifies that spirit, Purua, is the world's eternal governor, the agent behind all cosmic functions.
So the profound takeaway from this creation myth isn't just a how-to guide for the universe, but it's this radical vision. The divine isn't a distant architect, but the very essence, the living, breathing energy of everything. It fundamentally redefines our place not in the universe, but as an expression of it. It's quite something. So ends Chapter 2 in Book 1 of the glorious Vailputia. Okay, so with the complex process of creation laid out, Maitreya logically follows up with a natural question about the divine architect. He asks, how can Brahma, who is free from qualities and perfect, be an agent of creation? Pardeshar's reply, it sort of beautifully sidesteps the limitations of human comprehension. He states that creativity is simply an aspect of Brahma's very nature, just as heat is an intrinsic aspect of fire. He clarifies that Brahma, also known as Maurya, manifests as the world's grandsire, and though eternal, he is arisen merely by convention in the context of creation.
Yeah, and what's fascinating here is the introduction of time as a form of the yun. It's not merely a measure, but a divine principle that governs the existence and measurement of all beings, from the earth to the mountains and seas. This immediately elevates time from just a mundane concept to a cosmic divine force.
Let's break down the layers of cosmic times then, starting with the human scale, so we can maybe grasp just how vast these cycles become. Our familiar units are meticulously defined, from the miyas or blinks of an eye, building up through kas, kalas, and muhurtas, to eventually form a day and night, then months, and finally one human year. This is the bedrock, right? Our temporal understanding.
Right, that's our scale. But the pujan quickly scales up to truly astronomical proportions, detailing divine years and the grand cycle of yugas, or ages. A complete cycle of 4 ages, the Kata, Treta, the Dvapara, and Kali Yugas, lasts a staggering 12,000 divine years. Each age has a specific duration, with the Kata Yuga being the longest at 4,000 divine years, gradually decreasing to the Kali Yuga at 1,000 divine years. And crucially, each age is preceded by a dawn and followed by a dusk, marking these transition periods. Now here's where it gets mind-boggling. 1,000 such fourfold yuga cycles make one day for Brahma. This is an immense, almost incomprehensible span of time, far beyond human conception.
Wow, and it gets even grander. Within each of Brahma's days, there are 14 Manus who are cosmic progenitors and rulers, and each of their reigns is called a Manvantara. During each Manvantara, a Manu, along with 7 seers, various deities, and their progeny are created and then eventually absorbed. The duration of a single Manvantara is described as slightly longer than 71 fourfold yuga cycles, amounting to roughly 367 million mortal years. Just incredible. At the end of Brahma's day, a universal dissolution or pralaya occurs. The 3 lower worlds are consumed by fire. Higher realms retreat to even higher realms. The worlds are reduced to a single vast ocean, and Brahma, who is Narayan, reclines upon his serpent couch, having consumed the universe. Ascetics meditate on Brahma throughout the cosmic night, which lasts as long as his day. When the night is done, he creates the world again, initiating a new cycle. Brahma's lifespan itself is 100 of his own years, a period called a para. We are told that 1 parada, or half of a para, has already passed, and the current eon Varaha has just begun, marking the first of the second parada.
Yeah, these numbers are just staggering. It raises an important question. What is the philosophical significance of these vast cycles of time? It profoundly speaks to the impermanence of all manifest existence, even that of the gods. Everything that comes into being, no matter how grand, is subject to dissolution and renewal. Simultaneously, it highlights the eternal, unchanging nature of Vishnu, who orchestrates these immense cycles. It provides a foundational framework for understanding cosmic renewal and destruction, emphasizing that creation is not a one-time event, but an ongoing, recurring process, an endless divine play.
Impermanence on a truly cosmic scale. So ends Chapter 3 in Book 1 of the glorious Vishnu Purana. With the immense cosmic cycles of time now established in our minds, Maitreya naturally wants to know the next act of creation within this grand scheme. He asks, how does Lord Brahma, who is Naraya, create all beings at the beginning of a new eon? Parashara responds, promising to detail how Brahma, as Lord Naraya, the heavenly master of all progenitors, once again made the world after his long cosmic night.
Yeah, and the narrative then delves into the deeper meaning of Narayan's name, explaining its profound link to creation. The waters, Nara, were known as Nara, as they were Vishnu's sons. As these were the deity's first abode, Ayana, he is known as Narayan, whose home was water. This etymology beautifully links the divine being directly to the primordial waters from which all creation emerges, emphasizing his role as the fundamental source of all existence.
And this leads us directly to the iconic Varaha, or boar incarnation. The world, after the previous dissolution, lies completely submerged beneath a single ocean. Brahma, embodying Naraya, desires to raise the earth once more. Just as he took forms like a tortoise and a fish in earlier ages, all manifestations for the purpose of cosmic order, he now assumes the mighty form of a boar. The symbolism of the boar is rich and significant. This form embodies all the Vedas and the sacrifice, signifying that divine action is intrinsically linked to sacred knowledge and ritual. He takes this form for the preservation of the world and enters the waters.
What's fascinating here is the depth of the earth's praise for Varaha when he reaches the lower realm of Patala. The goddess Earth praises him as everything, her lifter, her creator, her very foundation. She identifies him as the essence of spirit, primal matter, the scene, and time itself. He is simultaneously creator, protector, and destroyer, taking the forms of Brahma, Vikon, and Rudra. Her fervent, encompassing praise underscores his omnipresence and omnipotence.
After receiving this profound praise, the narrative describes the dramatic raising of the earth. Varaha bellows loudly, his voice resounding like the chanting of the Samaveda, and with just one tusk he lifts the earth. His appearance is majestic, eyes like lotuses, body dark like Mount Nila. As he emerges, the waters from his dive purify the sages in Janaloka. The accomplished seers praise him, linking his very form to the Vedas and sacrifice. His legs are the Vedas, tusks the sacrificial post, teeth the offerings, mouth the altar, tongue the fire, and hairs the sacrificial grass. He is the spirit of the sacrifice. They affirm that the world rests on his tusk like a muddy lotus leaf. Their plea is simple and profound: raise the earth to make the worlds.
Right. In response to this plea and praise, Varaha reestablishes the cosmos. He raises the world and sets it down on the mighty ocean, where it floats like a great vessel, firm and broad. He then spreads the earth, heaps up mountains, recreating those that were burned in the previous eon, divides it into regions, remakes the 7 continents, and lays out the 4 spheres: earth, sky, heaven, and Maharloka. After this, divine Lord Hari, in the form of 4-faced Brahma, brimming with energy, creates all other things. And it's a crucial distinction that Brahma is presented as the instrumental cause, but creation itself arises from primal matter due to its own inherent tendency. This highlights a profound concept of self-organization within a divinely orchestrated framework where the universe unfolds from its own nature, guided by the ultimate principle of Vishnu.
Self-organization within a divine framework. That's a subtle but powerful idea. So ends Chapter 4 in Book 1 of the glorious Vishnu Purana. Okay, so having established the cosmic geography and the reestablishment of Earth, Maitreya now shifts his focus to the genesis of life itself. He queries Parashara. How did Brahma create gods, sages, ancestral spirits, danavas, humans, animals, plants, and all other beings? What are their qualities and forms? This opens the door to understanding the very tapestry of life in the universe.
Yes, and Parashara then unpacks the stages of Brahma's mental creation, detailing how different forms of life arose from his contemplative process. The first creation is described as foundational, leading to the 5-fold world of plants, trees, shrubs, grasses, and so on. These are immobile and provide the basic environment. The second creation brings forth animals known as tiryakshotas due to their horizontal digestive tracts. They are described as somewhat dull, unwitting, and self-centered, yet they possess feelings and interact. The third creation manifests divine beings, known as urdhva appearing above in the heavenly sphere. Blessed with goodness, they experience much happiness and joy and are filled with contentment. Finally, the fourth creation is humanity, the arvaksrupas, arising from the unseen element. They have vertical digestive tracts. Though gifted, they are subject to dullness and excessive energy, leading to pain and being forced to act. They too have sensations and emotions, marking this as the creation of humankind.
Right, so to summarize, the text outlines what it refers to as the 9 creations of Brahma. First, there are the 3 primary creations, which are said to be preceded by intellect. The creation from greatness, Brahma himself, the elemental creation of rudimentary factors, and the creation of the senses. Then there are 5 secondary creations which emerge from Brahma's qualities or shed bodies, including plants, animals, divine beings, and humanity. The 9th creation, Kumara, will be explained later. These primary and secondary creations are presented as the fundamental root cause of the entire universe.
Exactly. And beyond these broad categories, the Buddha provides a fascinating account of beings arising directly from Brahma's shed bodies and qualities, a testament to the dynamic nature of divine manifestation. Demigods, or Asuras, arise from his ties, imbued with dullness, and Brahma sheds this body, which becomes night. Deities, or Devas, filled with purity, appear from his mouth, and this body becomes day. This explains why demigods are strong by night, deities by day. Next, the ancestors or Piti appear, and this body becomes dusk. Following this, humankind, abundant in vigor, is born, and this form becomes dawn. This is why folk are active at dawn and ancestors powerful at dusk. The creation process then takes a darker turn as hunger and anger manifest from Brahma, giving rise to hairy monsters like Rakshasas and Yakas. Hairs dropping from his head become serpents. Enraged, he brings forth Bhuta spirits. While meditating, Andharas arise, and he produces birds at will. Even the animal kingdom has specific origins from Brahma's body parts. Sheep from his chest, goats from his mouth, cattle from his belly, and various other animals from his feet. Plants arise from the hairs of his head. These plants and animals, the text states, were all created at the onset of the eon and employed in sacrifices.
The Purana further categorizes the animal kingdom into domestic and wild animals. Most remarkably, the very origins of sacred texts and meters are tied to Brahma's 4 mouths. For instance, his eastern mouth gave rise to the Ukveda and Gayatri meter, while his southern mouth produced the Yajurveda. Each mouth contributes a Veda and associated sacred knowledge.
Yes, it illustrates a complete and divinely ordered universal recreation. All beings, moving and unmoving, are created. And crucially, beings undertake the same roles they filled in previous eons, whether cruel or kind, reinforcing the idea of a preordained cosmic order. This cyclicality is key. Brahma undertakes creation at the start of every eon, driven not only by his own divine will, but also by the power of creative urges and the latent energies of those to be created.
So what does this all mean for us? It means that creation is not a one-time linear event, but a continuous recurring process. It's deeply connected to the inherent qualities and actions of beings themselves, and all of it is guided by divine will. It's an endless, intricate dance of manifestation and remanifestation. So ends Chapter 5 in Book 1 of the glorious Vishnu Purana. Building on the creation of humankind, Maitreya now zeroes in on human origins and the societal structure. His specific request is for more detail on the Arvaksrota's creation humanity, and how Brahma made the 4 communities or vadas with their distinct qualities and duties. This is where we learn about the divine foundation of social order.
Right. The text describes the divine origin of the Vardaks directly from Brahma's own body, symbolizing their inherent qualities and roles. The Brahmins, representing wisdom, emerged from his mouth. The Kshatriyas, signifying protection, came from his chest. The Vaishyas, for trade and agriculture, arose from his thighs, and the Siddhas, symbolizing service, appeared from his feet. The purpose of these divisions was for the performance of sacrifices, which are considered the perfect means to sustain the deities. These deities, in turn, send rain to nourish humanity, creating this symbiotic cycle. Sacrifices are thus presented as the very source of welfare for all.
The Purana then paints a picture of early human society, a kind of golden age. These early humans were blessed with perfect faith, filled with virtue, and lived happily, free from troubles, pure-hearted and blameless. Hari, or Vishnu, dwelled within them, giving them perfect knowledge and enabling them to directly perceive Vishnu's true state. However, this idyllic state was not eternal. Hari's aspect known as time introduced wickedness, a force born of greed and darkness, taking the form of anger and other negative emotions, impeding their success. The consequences were dire. Their innate perfection began to diminish. Strife, defeat, and suffering arose. People were forced to adapt, building strongholds and adopting manual labor for their survival.
Yeah, a classic fall from grace narrative. This shift required new forms of sustenance. The text lists 17 types of crops they grew, from rice to lentils. Significantly, it also identifies 14 specific plants suitable for sacrifice, emphasizing that it is the very act of sacrifice that ironically enables their growth. This highlights a foundational interdependence. These plants and sacrifice are humanity's first foundation. Daily performance of sacrifice is presented as cleansing impurities and benefiting humanity, a continuous virtuous cycle.
But the seed of evil, sown by time, continued to grow in some men's hearts. Their thoughts began to wander from the path of sacrifice, making light of Vedic discourse and rites. They actively opposed sacrificial acts, becoming wicked, devious miscreants. In response to this deviation, Brahma established specific livelihoods and limits for each social order and life stage, along with their responsibilities. He also designated specific heavenly realms for those who adhered to their obligations. For Brahmins, there was Brahma's realm. Kshatriyas earned Indra's realm. Vaishyas went to the Maruts realm. Shudras reached the Gandharvas realm. Students, forest hermits, householders, and renunciants all had their designated realms, with the highest state of Vina reserved for ascetics who contemplated the absolute. The text also offers a path to liberation for all. Those who contemplate the 12-syllable mantra, or Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, need never be reborn. Conversely, a clear warning is given. The hell realms await those who insult the Vedas, obstruct sacrifice, or shirk communal duties.
This raises an important question. What is the message here about individual action in cosmic order? It clearly emphasizes that adherence to one's prescribed duties or dharma and active participation in sacred rites are crucial for maintaining cosmic balance and for achieving spiritual liberation. Deviation from these duties, on the other hand, leads to suffering and lower realms. It establishes a strong karmic framework for societal harmony and individual destiny.
A very clear cause and effect, really. So ends Chapter 6 in Book 1 of the glorious Veda Purana. After laying out the creation of society, the Purana moves into the detailed lineage of creation through the patriarchs, tracing the family trees of the cosmos. We learn that after Brahma's earlier attempts to multiply beings failed, because these sons had perfect knowledge and no urge for procreation, Brahma then creates more sons from his own mind, in his own image. These are the famous 9 mind-born sons, or Manasaputras: Vugu, Pulastya, Pulaha, Kratu, Ajiras, Marichi, Daka, Atri, and Vasya.
Right, and the narrative then delves into the genesis of a powerful cosmic force, wrath and its divine embodiment. The earlier sons, being entirely absorbed in perfect knowledge, showed indifference to world creation. From this indifference, a terrible universe-burning fury arises in Brahma, setting all 3 worlds ablaze. From Brahma's furrowed forehead, filled with this burning fury, springs wrathful Rudra, blazing like the midday sun, his vast form appearing half man and half woman. Brahma then orders Rudra to divide himself. Rudra splits into male and female halves, which further divide into many forms. This hints at the diverse and often contrasting aspects of the divine principle of destruction and transformation, foreshadowing Siva's complex nature.
This chapter also provides the origin of humanity through a divine manifestation. Brahma manifests himself as Manusvayavuva, the patriarch of humanity who marries Satarupa. They have 2 sons, Privrata and Uttanapada, and 2 daughters, Prasuti and Dakiti. The story then traces their descendants. Prasuti marries Daka, and Ukuti marries Ruchi. Ruchi and Ukuti have a son, Sacrifice, and a daughter, Recompense, who become a couple and bear 12 sons, the divine Yamas. Daka and Prasuti have 24 daughters. 13 of these are married to Virtue, Dharma, bearing names that are abstract qualities personified: faith, fortune, constance, and others like contentment, prudence, and modesty. The remaining 11 daughters marry other prominent seers, establishing a vast network of divine and sage lineages.
Yes, and what's particularly insightful is how this narrative personifies abstract virtues and vices and then traces their progeny. For example, from Virtue's daughters, we see faith-bearing desire, and from Vice's wife, Violence, we see falsehood and deceit. These terrible forms of Idon are the eternal causes of destruction in the world, illustrating how negative qualities propagate and lead to suffering, showing that even destructive forces are ultimately aspects of the divine play.
Right. After detailing these complex genealogies, Maitreya asks about Vishnu's overarching role in these cosmic processes of creation, preservation, and destruction. Parasha responds that Lord Madhusudan, Beyond, who is beyond conception, orchestrates this never-ending cycle in all three forms. He then explains the four types of cosmic destruction, which highlight various levels of dissolution. Occasional, when Brahma sleeps; foundational, world broken to elements; continual and ascetic's liberation; and perpetual everyday death.
The text clarifies that creation types also parallel these destructions, emphasizing continuous and ephemeral forms of generation. Vin's all-pervasiveness is stressed. He undertakes creation, preservation, and destruction, abiding in all bodies. His powers are always present. The ultimate goal, the Purana states, is for one who transcends this great threefold power to proceed to the highest state, never to return, signifying ultimate liberation from the cycle of birth and death.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? It's a powerful reminder that even destruction is an integral part of a divine process, not an end. It also teaches that ultimate liberation lies in understanding and transcending these vast cosmic cycles, reaching a state beyond the influence of the three qualities, beyond even the grandest fluctuations of time. So ends Chapter 7 in Book 1 of the glorious Vishnu Purana. Moving on from the intricate lineages of patriarchs, this chapter pivots to the creation of Rudra, a powerful force of transformation within the cosmic scheme. Parashara explains that at the beginning of the eon, while Brahma meditated, a son, his equal, with a ruddy complexion, manifested in his lap. The very origin of the name Rudra is explained by the child's actions. He ran about wailing loudly, or Rudan. When Brahma asked the weeping child why he cried, he replied, "I want a name." Brahma named him Rudra, but the child cried 7 more times, leading to 7 additional names, each signifying a different aspect of this powerful deity.
Right. What's fascinating here is how a divine entity can have multiple forms and stations, each with its own profound significance, illustrating the multifaceted nature of the divine. The 8 aspects of Rudra are named: Hava, Sharva, Ishana, Pashupati, Bhima, Ugra, and Mahadeva, in addition to Rudra, his first name. To each of these forms, Brahma assigned a specific station, such as the sun, water, earth, or the moon. This demonstrates Rudra's pervasive presence in all realms of the cosmos. Furthermore, each form has a corresponding wife and sons, whose descendants populate the world. For instance, Saturn is born from the sun form, showing how cosmic bodies are linked to divine lineages.
The chapter also highlights the cyclical nature of divine relationships, exemplified by the story of Sati and Uma. Rudra, or Siva, took Sati as his wife. She later famously sacrificed her body when enraged by her father, Dakam. But this was not an end. Sati was reborn as peerless Uma, and she married Siva again. This narrative powerfully illustrates themes of reincarnation and the enduring, unbreakable nature of divine bonds, emphasizing that even destruction and rebirth are part of a larger eternal pattern.
Exactly. The text then introduces Shura, who we know as Lakdam, as the eternal consort of Vith. While recounting the children of Vu, Shura is mentioned as their daughter. This naturally raises Maitreya's confusion, as he recalls Shur also rose from the churning of the ocean. Parashara clarifies this apparent contradiction by explaining that Shur is eternal and never leaves Vitsu's side. Just as Vut is everywhere, so too is she. Her appearances in different contexts are simply manifestations of her omnipresent, inseparable nature, emphasizing that her essence is beyond any single bird.
Okay. Here's where it gets really interesting, as the Puya delves into the deep symbolic unity of Vio and Lako, describing their intrinsic connection through a series of profound correspondences that embody the entirety of existence. They are presented as a cosmic pair, 2 sides of the same divine coin. Vio is meaning. She is word. He is policy. She is principle. He is creator. She is creation. She is earth. He is support. He is sacrifice. She is the fee. He is the sun. She is brilliance. He is the moon. She its loveliness. She is night. He day. The summary of their unity is striking. All things masculine among the animals, gods, and humankind are Lord Hari, while everything feminine is Lakom. There is nothing apart from them.
It's beautiful, isn't it? This comprehensive list profoundly demonstrates the concept of divine complementarity, where the masculine, Purusha, consciousness, the active principle, and the feminine, Prakriti, matter, the sustaining energy, are utterly inseparable and together constitute the entirety of existence. Lakdam is not merely a deity of wealth. She is presented as the very essence of manifestation, prosperity, and auspiciousness that allows Vitun's universal play, or Leela, to unfold. Their union is the dynamic force behind all cosmic activity and beneficence.
Inseparable. That's the key takeaway. So ends Chapter 8 in Book 1 of the glorious Vishnu Purana. This chapter introduces a truly pivotal narrative that sets the stage for a monumental cosmic event. We begin with the sage Devas, known for his famously short temper. He acquires a divine garland of fragrant santanika flowers. The fateful encounter occurs when he meets Indra, king of the gods, riding his majestic elephant Airavata. In an act that seals the god's fate, Devas takes the garland from his head and tosses it to Indra. Indra, perhaps out of nonchalance, places it on Airavata's brow. The elephant sniffs it briefly, then disrespectfully throws it to the ground.
Yeah, a small act with huge consequences. What's fascinating here is how this seemingly small, disrespectful act can have such immediate and devastating cosmic consequences due to the immense power of a sage's curse and the profound interconnectedness of divine energy and prosperity. Durvasas, enraged by this perceived insult to the garland, which he proclaims is the dwelling place of Suri, or Lakshmi curses Indra. He declares that Indra's heart has been corrupted by the intoxication of your power. The dire prediction is that Indra will lose sovereignty over the three worlds, and more broadly, the threefold worlds will lose their splendor. Durvasas forcefully asserts his fierce, impatient nature, making it clear he is not to be disrespected. Indra quickly apologizes, but Durvasas refuses further apologies. The curse is cast. Done deal.
And the immediate impact of this curse is devastating, rippling throughout the entire cosmos. All three worlds, along with Indra, instantly lose their splendor and become wretched. A profound decline sets in. Herbs and plant life wither, sacrifices cease, and people abandon charity. Greed takes over. The text draws a clear interlinkage. Where vitality exists, prosperity follows. Without vitality, no prosperity. Without prosperity, no virtues. And without virtues, no strength or courage, ultimately leading to rejection and mental decline. It's a complete breakdown of cosmic and human order.
Absolutely. This widespread decline inevitably leads to cosmic war. The Daityas and Danavas, powerful demon races, seize the opportunity and fight the now weakened gods. Unsurprisingly, the gods are worsted in battle. In their desperation, Indra and the other deities go to Brahma, seeking refuge. Brahma directs them to Vishnu, describing him as the scourge of demigods, the Lord who has no cause, the origin of creation, preservation, and destruction, and crucially, the one who eases the pain of those who bow before him.
Right. Following Brahma's instruction, Brahma himself and all the gods gather at the Milky Ocean and begin to praise Vishnu, seeking his intervention. Brahma describes Vishnu as the universal Lord, beginningless, the abode and foundation of the world, invisible, indivisible, smallest of the small, largest of the large, including all. He is beyond the highest spirit, the source of liberation. The deities and sages then join in, acknowledging Vishnu as Brahma, Shiva, Indra, and all other gods. They lament their misery and seek his protection. Vishnu responds, promising to restore their energy and outlining the extraordinary plan that will become the famed churning of the ocean.
And here's where it gets really interesting. The incredible narrative of the Samudra Manthan, the churning of the ocean of milk. Vishnu gives precise instructions for this cosmic endeavor. First, the gods must collaborate with the Daityas, forming a tactical alliance. They are to cast healing herbs into the milky ocean. Mount Mandara is to be used as the churning stick. The great Naga, or serpent, Vasuki, will serve as the cord. The Daityas are promised an equal portion of the nectar of immortality, though Vishnu subtly ensures their enemies will receive nothing. The churning process itself is a marvel of divine orchestration. Gods, Daityas, and Danavas gather herbs and begin. Vishnu employs strategic positioning. He sends the gods to Vasuki's tail, where they are refreshed by cool air, while the Daityas are at the serpent's head, scorched by fiery blasts, weakening them. Vishnu then provides multiform support. He takes the form of a tortoise, Kurma, to support Mount Mandara, and also takes invisible forms among both gods and Daityas to help pull the cord. As the ocean churns, a series of extraordinary treasures emerge. First, Saravi, the sacred wish-granting cow. Then Barun, the goddess of wine, the Parijata tree, divine and fragrant. A host of Apsarises, beautiful celestial dancers. The moon which Shiva seizes. A virulent poison, Halahala, taken by the Nagas, Dhanvantari, the god's physician carrying the jar of nectar. And finally, the radiant goddess, Shura herself, standing on an open lotus.
Wow, quite a list. The re-emergence of Lakshmi is a moment of grand cosmic celebration. Sages praise her, Gandharvas sing, and Apsarasas dance. Rivers come forward to bathe her, and guardian elephants bring water in golden vessels. Vishvakarman crafts her jewelry. Shri then presses herself to Hari's bosom, signifying her eternal union with Vishnu. As she clings to Hari's bosom, the deities attain bliss, while the Daityas, shunned by Vishnu and ignored by Lakshmi, fall into deep despair. The narrative then resolves the conflict over the nectar. The deity sees the jar, but Vyan cleverly takes a female form, Mohini, to trick them, seizes the nectar back, and returns it to the gods. The gods drink the nectar, gain immortality, and then destroy the demon army. With the cosmos restored, the deities joyfully rule Triviapa again. The sun and other luminaries resume their proper paths, sacred fires blaze, and the minds of every being turn once more to virtue. All three worlds prosper, and Indra regains his splendor, praising the goddess.
Right, and Indra's praise for Lakshmi is a testament to the power of devotion and a full acknowledgement of her pervasive influence. He bows to her as mother of the world, born from a lotus and residing in Vyan's bosom. He describes her as embodying success, prosperity, faith, wisdom, and speech. She is knowledge and the source of governance. Indra acknowledges that without her, the worlds were ruined, but with her, men possess wives, sons, homes, and sustenance. He emphasizes that those she rejects lose goodness, while under her gaze, even the wicked gain desired qualities. Pleased by his devotion, Lakshmi grants Indra 2 wishes. She will never forsake the threefold world, and she will never forsake anyone who praises her with this song at dawn and dusk.
Okay, so this resolves the earlier confusion about Shri's different origins, confirming she was first born as sṛṣṭi and then re-arose from the ocean churning. The text clarifies that whenever Janardana manifests on earth, for example, as Rama or Katsashra always appears as his consort, adapting her form to complement his. This emphasizes their eternal, inseparable unity. The narrative concludes by listing the benefits of hearing this account: freedom from misfortune and misdeeds, and protection by Hari.
So what does this all mean for us? This epic narrative explains the origin of the world's beauty, wealth, and auspiciousness as a direct result of divine effort and sacrifice, all orchestrated by Vyu. It powerfully underlines the pervasive and inseparable nature of Vyu and Lakshmi, where she is the active manifestation of his divine energy. It also serves as a potent reminder of the deep karmic consequences of disrespect and how divine grace can restore order from chaos.
A truly foundational story. So ends Chapter 9 in Book 1 of the glorious Vishnu Purana. Following the grand cosmic event of the ocean churning, Maitreya delves deeper into the vast genealogical tapestry, connecting back to the initial patriarchs. He specifically asks, how did Bhigu beget offspring, and more about creation? This chapter provides the intricate details of these foundational lineages.
Yes, the Purana expands on the lineages of Brahma's mind-born sons, detailing how the cosmos was populated through their descendants. We learn about Bhigu's lineage, which includes the famous sage Markandeya, Marichi's lineage, Augira's lineage with daughters personifying moon phases, Atri's lineage with sons like Soma and Durvasa's, Pulastya's lineage, Pulahas and Kratus, which produced 60,000 Valakulya sages, remarkable for being thumb-sized. Vasita's lineage produced 7 stainless sages. The text also details Agni's lineage, forming the 49 Vinaya fire gods, and Pitara's lineage. These genealogies, they establish the sacred origins of various priestly, royal, and ascetic lineages, connecting them directly back to Brahma's mental essence and highlighting the diverse aspects of divine creation. They provide a foundational structure for the spiritual and social order of the world.
Right, it's like mapping the divine DNA of the cosmos. The chapter concludes with a blessing for those who listen to this account. It states that a faithful person who hears this account of Daka's daughter's offspring will never remain childless, emphasizing the profound power of these narratives to ensure fertility and the continuation of lineage, linking spiritual knowledge to worldly well-being.
A very practical blessing embedded in this cosmic history.
So ends Chapter 10 in Book 1 of the glorious Vishnu Purana. Now we come to one of the most remarkable and inspiring tales in the Pooh, the birth of Dhruva, a story of unwavering resolve born from a child's pain. The narrative introduces King Uttanapada, a son of Manusvayapuva, who had 2 wives. One, Suruthi, was his favorite and bore him a son named Uttama. The other, Suniti, was less loved, but she also bore a son, Dhruva.
Yeah, and this sets up the core conflict. It raises an important question for us. How does a child's experience of rejection lead to a truly cosmic destiny? The turning point occurs when young Dhruva, seeing his brother Uttama nestled comfortably in his father's lap, attempts to climb up too. But Suruchi, Uttama's mother, intervenes, cruelly humiliating him. She tells him he's from another mother, not special, not born for this throne. This sharp rejection breaks the child's heart, filling him with anger, and he runs to his own mother, Suniti.
Suniti's response is heart-wrenching, yet imbued with practical wisdom. She admits that sṛṣṭi spoke the truth and explains that royalty and good fortune come from merit earned in previous lives, implying her son was not born to privilege. But then she pivots, offering profound advice. She tells him not to be sad, for the wise are always content with their lot. If he's truly pained, she advises him to earn merit, which she assures him brings all rewards. She encourages politeness, virtue, and kindness, noting that good fortune comes to those who earn it.
Wise words, but despite this, Dhruva's anger and determination remain unwavering. His heart, broken by the insult, is not comforted by her resignation. Instead, he declares his extraordinary intention to strive to reach that highest, peerless state honored by all the worlds. A state, he emphasizes, that even his own father has not reached. This is an astonishing resolve for such a young child, immediately elevating his quest beyond mere earthly ambition.
Truly incredible resolve. Dhruva then embarks on his quest for divine guidance. He leaves the city and, in a sacred grove, finds the revered 7 sages. Initially, they are surprised by such a young boy, only 4 or 5 years old, being so disenchanted with the world. Dhruva recounts sṛṣṭi's hurtful words. The sages recognize his warrior spirit and encourage him to state his aim. Dhruva clearly articulates his extraordinary desire. He doesn't want riches or an earthly kingdom. He wants to know how to reach that state that none has reached before, a state superior to all others. This marks his commitment to intense spiritual discipline, or tattvas, fueled by deep devotion, or bhakti.
Right. The sages, recognizing the purity and strength of his intention, offer unanimous instruction. They confirm that to reach that foremost state, Dhruva must venerate and worship Govinda, another name for Hari, Janardana, the everlasting one, the primal spirit, and the highest absolute. They assure him that when Vyom is pleased, nothing is unattainable. This collective wisdom from the highest spiritual authorities confirms that devotion to the Supreme Being is the direct path to ultimate achievement.
Okay. Dhruva, eager to proceed, then asks for the practical method, which prayer to offer and how to venerate the Lord. The sages provide detailed instructions for meditation and mantra recitation. First, he must clear his mind of all external worries. Next, he should fix his thoughts solely on the God in whom the world abides. With his mind focused, understanding that you consist of the deity, and holding himself firm, he should recite this powerful mantra. I bow to Vasudeva, who takes the forms of Brahma born from the golden egg, spirit, matter, and the unseen element, and whose essential nature is pure knowledge. They also provide historical precedent, noting that Manu Swayambhuva, Dhruva's own grandsire, recited this mantra and gratified Janardana, gaining immense wealth.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? This chapter beautifully illustrates the transformative power of a clear and unwavering intention, even in a child. It provides a direct, accessible path for achieving spiritual goals through focused devotion, bhakti, and specific meditative practice. It emphasizes that the divine is accessible, and true aspiration, when directed towards the ultimate reality, can lead to destinies far beyond ordinary human conception.
A powerful lesson in resolve. So ends Chapter 11 in Book 1 of the glorious Vishnu Purana. Following the sage's profound instruction, Dhruva embarks on his extraordinary penance, and its intensity immediately sends ripples across the entire cosmos. He chooses the sacred Madhu ford on the Yamuna River, known as Madhu's Forest. Here he undertakes severe austerities, contemplating Vishnu, the Lord of all deities, in his heart, his mind fixed on nothing else.
Right, and what's fascinating here is the immediate and profound physical impact of Dhruva's concentrated devotion on the universe. As Dhruva focuses so intensely on Vishnu, Lord Hari pervades his very being, and the earth, the support of all creation, can no longer bear the immense burden of his austerity. When he stands on one foot, half the world sinks. On his right foot, the other half sinks. When he stands on just one toe, the entire world with mountains, rivers, oceans trembles and quakes. The gods themselves become deeply troubled, sensing an unprecedented cosmic imbalance.
This alarming cosmic tremor prompts divine intervention, as the gods, led by Indra, attempt to distract and deter Dhruva from his meditation. They create a powerful illusion. First, an apparition of his beloved mother, Sṛṣṭi, appears, weeping and pleading with him to stop his cruel penance, reminding him of her struggles and threatening suicide. When the mother apparition runs away, frightful Rakshasas appear, wielding weapons, belching flames, and roaring terrifyingly. Despite these vivid illusions and threats, Dhruva's mind is so utterly fixed on Vishnu that he perceives nothing else. He remains perfectly absorbed in his yoga, his concentration unshakable.
Incredible focus. When all these phantoms finally disappear, the gods, even more concerned by their failure to distract him, go to Hari, the beginningless and endless origin. They describe Dhruva's power increasing daily, expressing fear about his unknown purpose. Does he want Indra's position? Or the sun's? They appeal to Vyani to make him stop. Vyani, however, reassures the gods, telling them that Dhruva has no desire for their realms. He promises that he will grant Dhruva's wish in full and cause him to desist, after which the gods return to their own realms, their fears allayed by the Supreme Lord.
Right. This leads to the profound moment of divine revelation. Lord Hari, perfectly pleased with Dhruva's unwavering absorption, appears before the boy in his glorious four-armed form, bearing his discus, conch, and mace. Dhruva, though seeing him, is overwhelmed with awe and humility. He asks for the wisdom to praise such a supreme being.
In a truly unique and transformative gift, Vishnu, as Govinda, touches Dhruva with the tip of his conch shell. Instantly, Dhruva's face shines, and he becomes capable of profound, spontaneous praise. His extensive praise of Vishnu is a testament to the divine touching his very intellect. He bows to Vishnu as the fundamental elements, earth, water, fire, wind, sky, and as mind, intellect, primal elements, and matter. He describes Vishnu as pure, subtle, all-pervading spirit, transcending elemental substance. He is beyond all creation, senses, and even spirit and matter themselves. He is the absolute, creation itself, the universal master, the all-pervasive being with 1,000 heads, 1,000 eyes, and 1,000 feet, who extends 10 inches beyond the furthest limit of the universe. All creation arises from him, and he uses analogies like a banyan tree inherent in a tiny seed, or a banana palm having no reality distinct from its trunk and leaves, to show that the universe is not distinct from him. He is unified consciousness, the source of joy, free from pain and pleasure, transcending qualities, both one and many, the essence of all beings, the heart of creation.
Wow. Overwhelmed by this divine encounter, Dhruva states his extraordinary desire. He explicitly asks for a state higher than the highest of all, which endures forever, clearly motivated by his stepmother's initial arrogance and insult. He also humbly asks for his father's sins to be forgiven. Vishnu, in his boundless grace, grants the boon and reveals a surprising fact. Dhruva pleased him in a previous life where he was a Brahmin devoted to Vishnu and developed the desire to be a prince. Vishnu notes that being born into the Svayambhuva lineage was not so good for Dhruva if his goal was mundane power, but it pleased Vishnu because those who worship him achieve liberation without delay. Mundane heavenly places are nothing compared to the ultimate state.
Right. Vishnu then grants Dhruva his eternal station, a place above the three worlds, as the pivot of all stars and planets, beyond the sun, moon, and even the seven sages, Ursa Major. This station, the pole star whose name Dhruva literally means fixed or stationary, will last for one whole eon, a Brahma day, an unfathomable amount of time. Furthermore, his mother Sumiti will also become a brilliant star, dwelling in a mansion right beside him. The Purana concludes by listing the benefits of hearing this narrative: freedom from misdeeds, dwelling in paradise, and leading long, joyous lives.
Dhruva's journey boils down to one powerful truth. Unshakable intention, especially when rooted in devotion, can literally reshape your destiny and even the cosmos. It's a testament that inner spiritual resolve, not external power or age, holds the ultimate transformative force. So ends Chapter 12 in Book 1 of the glorious Fate Muraya. After the celestial ascent of Dhruva, we now trace the lineage that follows him, a line that brought about great kings and, importantly, reviews the origin of proper governance and civilization itself. The chapter details Dhruva's sons Sṛṣṭi and Vavya, leading to Ripu, whose son was Kakusa, and then to Manu. Among Manu's sons was Kuru, whose son was Oga. Oga, in turn, had a son named Vina, born to Sunitha, the daughter of Mrityu, or death.
Yeah, and this lineage sets up a critical narrative turn. It raises an important question. How did King Vina's profound wickedness lead to the birth of the righteous Puthu? And what does this signify for the nature of kingship? Born under the evil sway of his maternal grandsire, Vina was inherently wicked. Upon being anointed king, Vina issued a tyrannical decree proclaiming, "There shall be neither sacrifice, nor offerings, nor sacrificial gifts, for who, apart from me, is fit to enjoy these rituals?" He arrogantly claimed that all deities abode in him. The sages attempted to soothe him, urging him to allow sacrifices, but Vina defiantly ignored their advice. Filled with righteous anger, the sages declared, "This wicked ruler must be killed." They then beat him to death with purified kusha grass, noting that he was dead already for insulting Vina.
Right. The aftermath of Vina's demise plunged the kingdom into chaos. With no king, theft and lawlessness spread. To address this crisis and produce progeny, as Vina had died sonless, the sages resorted to an extraordinary measure. They squeezed the dead king's thigh.
From this act, a dwarfish man, Nyada, appeared, whose descendants, the Ninadas, are known for cruelty. This act symbolically expunged Vina's misdeeds. Immediately following this, the sages squeezed Vina's right hand. From it arose Pithu, a mighty ruler blazing with his own light, shining like a second Agni, a true embodiment of divine power.
Yes, and Putu's birth was marked by auspicious omens. The divine bow Ajagava, heavenly shafts and armor descended from the sky, and beings everywhere rejoiced. His noble birth literally rescued his father, Vina, from the hell realm called Put, giving rise to the playful etymology of Putra, meaning son, one who rescues from hell. Oceans and rivers brought jewels and water for Putu's consecration, and Brahma, deities and sages gathered. Brahma, upon seeing the discus mark on Putu's right hand, recognized him as a partial manifestation of Vyun, signifying him as a universal sovereign whose rule cannot be thwarted. Because Putu gratified his subjects, he earned their affection, and thus the title king, Rajan, came into use. His reign was marked by miraculous powers. Waters solidified for him to cross, mountains opened paths, and abundance returned, with earth bearing crops without plowing.
Amazing. The story then delves into the origin of bards and the power of future praise. At the glorious sacrifice held by Brahma for Putu, a wise bard, Sutha, arose. When asked to praise Kusu, they initially hesitated as he was just born. The sages, however, instructed them to praise his future deeds and qualities. Inspired, Putu declared that he would diligently practice those virtues the bards would acclaim and would avoid any vices. This demonstrates the profound power of positive reinforcement and aspirational leadership, where the king is inspired by the ideal of future righteousness. The bards then composed a prophetic paean praising Putu's future virtues: truthful, generous, prudent, and just.
Right. And Kusu's ultimate act was restoring the earth's bounty. People were suffering from a great famine, as plant life had perished. They approached Putu, who, in anger, took his bow and sought out the earth. The earth appeared as a cow and fled. Putu argued that killing a single evildoer for the security of many is meritorious, and threatened to sustain his subjects through his yoga power if she refused. The earth, trembling, offered to restore vegetation if given a calf, and if the world's surface was leveled. Putu used his bow tip to drag mountains into massive heaps, literally landscaping the world. Before this, the world was rough and undivided. No crops or agriculture existed. All these began with Putu. He then gave the earth Manu Svayambhuva as a calf, and milked all kinds of grain into his own hands, nourishing the people. This act of giving the earth the gift of life made Putu her father, which is why she is known as Putu's daughter. This vital act of sustenance was universal, with deities, sages, and all beings receiving milk as the source of their vitality.
So, what does this all mean for you? This chapter provides a foundational myth for kingship, governance, and the very structure of agriculture and human civilization. It powerfully underscores the idea that a true king is a protector and provider, drawing on divine power and working in harmony with the cosmos to ensure the well-being and prosperity of his subjects. It shows that even the earth itself responds to righteous rule. The narrative also promises benefits for the listener: freedom from sin and protection from evil dreams. So ends Chapter 13 in Book 1 of the glorious Vishnu Purana. Continuing the grand genealogy, this chapter focuses on Putu's descendants, tracing a lineage that leads to profound austerities and a deeper understanding of Vishnu's omnipresence. Putu's descendants included Prakanamarhis, a significant patriarch who greatly multiplied the human race and earned his distinctive name from arranging sacrificial kusha grass with its tips pointing east. After severe austerities, Prakanabarhis married Savari, the daughter of the ocean, and they had 10 sons, known collectively as the Prastessis, all of whom were masters of archery.
Yes, and the narrative then describes the Prasitas' unusual spiritual discipline. They lived and performed great austerities in the waters of the ocean for a staggering 10,000 years. Maitreya, naturally, asks why they chose to undertake austerities below the ocean's waters. Parashara explains that it was their father, acting on Brahma's orders, who instructed them to raise the population. He told them that the only way to achieve this, and any other wish, was by worshipping Vin, the beginningless highest spirit. He emphasized that Brahma himself worshipped Hari to create the world. Following their father's guidance, the Prasatasis dove into the milky ocean, their minds fixed on Narya, meditating intently and praising Hari. This demonstrates their profound devotion and adherence to their father's divine command.
Maitreya, eager to learn, asks for the hymn they sang. Pralaya then recites the Prasitasi's profound hymn to Vishnu, which is an eloquent statement of Vishnu's omnipresence and cosmic forms. They bow to him whose eternal glory is the subject of all speech, the beginning and the end, the highest universal Lord. He is described as primal light, incomparable, indivisible, unending, the origin of all that moves and all that is static. He is formless, yet embodies day, night, and twilight, and is time itself. He is the moon, providing nectar. He is the sun, dispelling darkness. He is the earth, firm and supporting the world, realm of sound and all sensations. He is water, the universal womb. He is fire, the mouth of gods. He is wind, the source of motion. He is air, the endless, pure, formless space. He is the creator cat, the ultimate object of all senses. He is the senses themselves, apprehending objects. He is intellect, carrying sensory input to the mind. He is the endless being in whom all things abide, arise, and dissolve. His own form is the highest primal spirit, pure and without qualities. His supreme state is the absolute, changeless, unborn, pure, unqualified, unsullied, without limits. It lies beyond space, touch, smell, taste, eyes, and ears. Without passion, sound, death, or limit, nothing exists before or after Vishnu's highest state. They bow to that state which is of the highest supremacy, existing in all beings but depending on none, beyond the range of tongue and eye.
It's a beautiful hymn. The culmination of their intense devotion comes when Vishnu, gratified, appears before them underwater, with the complexion of an azure lotus and mounted on Garuda. The Prasitases bow deeply, request their father's wish to raise the population, which the deity grants before withdrawing from sight. The Prasitases then leave the ocean, ready to fulfill their purpose. So what does this all mean for you, the listener? This chapter showcases another profound example of tattvas, or austerity, and bhakti, or devotion, leading to direct divine favor. It further elaborates on the pan-cosmic nature of Vishnu, demonstrating his presence in every element and every aspect of existence, from the subtlest to the most manifest. It's a reminder that through focused spiritual practice, one can connect with the divine essence that underlies all reality.
The power of focused devotion, again and again. So ends chapter 14 in Book 1 of the glorious Vyomatua. Okay, upon the Prasitases' return from their 10,000-year austerity, they faced an unexpected problem, which quickly led to a divine solution. While they were meditating, the unprotected earth had become completely overgrown with vegetation. Winds had ceased, the sky was cloudy, and people suffered. Emerging, the Prasitases were enraged. From their mouths blew wind and fire, born of their anger, which uprooted and burned all the vegetation, clearing the earth.
Quite a reaction. Soma, the moon deity, intervenes, asking them to curb their anger. He offers a deal concerning the trees, and then reveals the mysterious origin of Maria, a precious girl whom he himself had raised from the forest with his light. He explains that she is the offspring of the trees, and proposes that the Prasitases marry her to increase their race, as she will bear Daka, a prudent patriarch who will multiply humanity. To illustrate Maria's unusual genesis, Soma recounts the tale of sage Kanchu and the Asuras Pramloka. Sage Kanchu, a great Vedic expert, was performing extreme austerities when Indra sent the beautiful Apsaras Pramloka to distract him. Kanchu, engrossed in sensual pleasures, lived with Pramloka for what he thought were a few more days, but which in reality spanned many hundred years. The revelation of the true passage of time filled Kanchu with consternation. He cursed himself for wasting his austerities, and admitted that desire had robbed him of his resolution. As Pramloka fled the ashram, her perspiration was wiped away by tree branches. The child she conceived emerged from her limbs as these droplets. The trees collected these drops, the wind combined them into a single body, and Soma nurtured the infant with his rays. This, Soma explains, is Maria, making her parentage incredibly complex. Daughter of Kanchu, born of trees, daughter of wind, Pramloka, and the moon.
Wow, what an origin story. After his profound realization of wasted time, Kaus then embarked on a path of spiritual redemption. He retired to Purottama, Vishnu's abode, where he performed deep penance, praising Hari with a profound prayer that encompasses the furthest reaches of the Absolute. He prayed that his passions and faults be overcome.
Right. Soma further reveals Maria's past life. She was a childless, widowed queen who pleased Vishnu with her devotion. Vishnu granted her unique boons: a worthy husband in every birth, a son equal to patriarchs, and most uniquely, not to be issued from a womb. She was also blessed to have 10 husbands and a mighty son who would found many lineages. This divinely ordained past explains her unconventional birth.
Okay, that makes sense now. In accordance with Soma's orders, the Prasitases, shedding their anger, accept Maria as their spouse. Through their union, Maria gives birth to Dek, who was previously Brahma's son, indicating a cyclical rebirth of key cosmic figures. This fortunate Dakak then takes on the role of populating the world. A significant shift occurs at this point. While previous offspring were born of willpower, sight, or austerities, from this point on, all creatures have been born of sexual union.
A key transition. This transition raises an important question for Maitreya, who expresses confusion about Deka's multiple births and his paradoxical relationship to Soma. Parashara clarifies this by stating, "Beings are always subject to both birth and death. The wise are not confused by this." He explains that patriarchs exist in every era and also cease to be. Their power and austerities, not their age, were the only standards of comparison. This implies a fluid, cyclical understanding of divine and patriarchal roles.
Okay. The narrative then details Narada's mischievous interventions in Daka's initial attempts at procreation. Narada tells Daka's 5,000 sons that they don't know the limits of the earth, leading them to disappear forever. Daka then has another 1,000 sons, and Narada gives them the same advice, leading to their permanent disappearance as well. This results in a proverb about brothers getting lost. Daka, furious, curses Narada. Despite these setbacks, Daka has 60 daughters who are given to Dharma, Virtue, Kashyapa, and Soma, the moon forming the lunar mansions, among others. These lineages produce various divine hosts like the Vishadevas, Satyas, Maruts, Vasas, and the 11 Rudras.
Right. This extensive genealogy culminates in the grand lineage of Kashyapa and introduces one of the Buddha's most significant figures, Prahlada. Kashyapa's wives produce diverse children who populate every realm. Aditi becomes the mother of the Adityas, the gods. Notably, previous celestial beings decide to be reborn as the 12 Adityas, including Vishnu and Indra, through Aditi in the current Manvantara, explaining the cyclical rebirth of divine hosts. Diti is the mother of the Daityas, or demons, whose sons include the formidable Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaka. Hiranyakashipu's sons are Anuhada, Hlada, Prahlada, and Salada. Prahlada's unique devotion is specifically highlighted here. He is known for his equanimity and perfect devotion to Janardana, which renders him immune to all harm. The text recounts his immunity to fire, weapons, being bound, crushed, or poisoned, all because Vasudeva dwelt in his heart. He treats others as himself, filled with benevolence, standing as a paragon of virtue. Kashyapa's other wives give rise to numerous other beings, from birds and animals to snakes, carnivores, cattle, and plants, demonstrating the sheer diversity of creation.
The chapter then shifts to a compelling cosmic drama, the origin of the Maruts, the wind deities. The text first explains the cyclical rebirth of these 33 divine hosts. This cyclicality sets the stage for the story of Diti and Indra. Diti, distraught after her Daitya sons were annihilated, seeks revenge. She pleases Kashyapa, asking for a son capable of slaying Indra. Kashyapa grants her wish on condition that she bear the infant for 100 years with perfect purity and love. Indra, knowing the prophecy, cleverly adopts a counter-strategy. He respectfully waits upon Diti, looking for an opportunity. In the 99th year, Diti forgets to wash her feet, thus becoming impure. Indra seizes this precise moment and enters her womb. With his Vajra, his thunderbolt, Indra cuts the mighty fetus into 7 pieces. The infant wails. Indra repeatedly says, "Don't cry, Marudi." Even so, his anger grows, and he cuts each of the 7 pieces into 7 more, resulting in 49 pieces. These become the speeding deities of the wind, called Maruts, because Indra said Marudai. They then become companions to Indra, illustrating a complex origin that blends vengeance, purity, and divine command.
Yeah, quite the story. So what does this all mean for you, the listener? This chapter profoundly rounds out the creation narrative by detailing the intricate, vast, and interconnected web of cosmic relationships and the diverse lineages of beings. The origin of the Maruts is a compelling example of how divine intervention, subtle shifts in purity or impurity, and even a simple command can shape the very forces of nature and the celestial pantheon. It also emphasizes the ongoing cosmic struggle between divine and demonic forces and the cyclical nature of divine roles and rebirths, all orchestrated within the grand framework of Vishnu's design.
A complex web indeed. So ends chapter 15 in Book 1 of the glorious Vishnu Purana. Okay, having heard about Prahlada's extraordinary immunity and virtue, Maitreya is clearly captivated by his story, just as I think you will be. He immediately asks about this excellent Daitya, expressing profound amazement at his immunity to fire, to weapons, to being tied in the ocean, an ocean that, astonishingly, trembled when he moved, to being buried under mountains, bitten by serpents, or subjected to priest rituals, and even poison. Just incredible resilience.
It really is, and this raises an important question. Why was someone so virtuous subjected to such extreme persecution, especially by his own kin? Maitreya highlights the perplexing paradox of Prahlada's persecution. He points out that Prahlada was bent on virtue, always lauded Kshaba, and was pious, fortunate, and selfless. Yet his own kinsfolk, the Daitas, showed him extreme antipathy. Maitreya emphasizes that noble beings would never strike a virtuous foe like him, let alone a person born among one's allies. This paradox of a perfectly virtuous being tormented by his own family makes Prahlada's story particularly compelling and spiritually instructive. Maitreya's plea to Parasha is heartfelt. He wants to hear all the details of Prahlada's peerless power and noble deeds which demonstrate his special virtue, and crucially understand why he was attacked despite being such a devout follower of Vishnu.
So, what does this all mean for you? This chapter serves as a powerful narrative hook, building suspense and focusing your attention on the deeper spiritual and moral lessons embedded in Prahlada's trials. It invites us to understand how true faith, unshakable and profound, can defy all external adversity, making him a timeless example of unwavering devotion. We really want to know how this plays out. So ends Chapter 16 in Book 1 of the glorious Vishnu Purana. Now we delve into the dramatic unfolding of Prahlada's unwavering devotion in the face of tyranny, a story that truly tests the limits of faith. It begins with Hiranyakashipu, Diti's son, who, having received a powerful boon from Brahma, now commands absolute rule over all three worlds. He has audaciously usurped the authority and functions of all the gods, even partaking of all sacrifices. Hiranyakashipu's arrogance has grown boundless due to his universal sovereignty.
Absolute power corrupting absolutely, you could say. The first confrontation between father and son reveals a child's pure wisdom challenging a tyrant's might. Prahlada, as a gifted son, studies in his guru's home. One day, accompanied by his teacher, Prahlada bows to his drunken father. The king asks him to recite his favorite verse. Prahlada's response is utterly unflinching. I bow to him who has no start, no middle, and no ending, who is unborn, unaging, undying, and unchanging, destroyer and maintainer of the universe, the cause of every cause. This is a direct praise of Vishnu, his father's arch-rival.
Oof. Hiranyakashipu's reaction is immediate and furious. He berates the guru for teaching insulting nonsense in praise of his arch-rival. The guru denies it. Prahlada explains that Vishnu, teacher of all the world, is fixed in his heart, and no one else needs to teach him about the highest spirit. Hiranyakashipu threatens death if Vishnu is mentioned again, but Prahlada remains steadfast, explaining that Vishnu is creator, disposer, and highest lord, not just of him and the world, but of Hiranyakashipu himself. He calls for mercy and rejects anger, clarifying that Vishnu not only occupies my heart but fills all three worlds, and enjoins me, you, Father, and other beings to undertake all actions. Believing Prahlada to be possessed, Hiranyakashipu orders him taken away and punished.
Yeah, and this marks the beginning of the cycle of persecution. Hiranyakashipu, blind with rage, unleashed every torment imaginable. From the sharpest weapons and deadliest poisons to ravenous elephants, consuming fires, powerful sorcery, and even attempts to dry him out with a fierce wind. Yet each brutal attempt utterly failed. Why? Because Prahlada's mind was so utterly fixed on Vishnu, so absorbed in pure devotion that Hari's presence rendered him impervious to all harm, a living testament to divine protection. The Daitya king, in rage, pronounced death sentences, yet Prahlada remained unharmed.
Incredible. The Daitya king's priests intervene, soothing Hiranyakashipu and promising to instruct Prahlada to destroy your rivals. Hiranyakashipu agrees, and Prahlada is pulled from the fire. However, the most profound part of this chapter comes when Prahlada, during breaks in his own lessons, secretly begins teaching the other Daitya boys. His lessons are incredibly mature and spiritually advanced. He teaches them about the nature of existence and suffering, how birth, childhood, and death are universal, and that rebirth is continuous, driven by past actions. He explains that mundane pleasures are merely absences of pain, not true happiness. He then emphasizes the soul refuge. He strongly warns against procrastination, urging them not to delay spiritual progress. He highlights the ease of devotion. What's so hard about remembering him? When called to mind, he blesses you, so think about him day and night and all your sins will be forgiven. He advocates equanimity and compassion. Pity those afflicted by suffering and don't be angry with others. He teaches the unity of being. This whole world is but an aspect of universal Vishnu.
The wise see everything as one and as no different from themselves. And finally, he promises the highest bliss. Cast off demonic natures and strive for the highest bliss that cannot be undone by any worldly affliction. This joy, he says, is everlasting, pure state, attained by one who sets his heart on stainless kashava. He concludes by stating, equanimity is a form of worship of unfailing beyond.
It's just amazing, isn't it? So what does this all mean for you? This chapter is a truly profound exposition on bhakti yoga, the path of devotion, and the nature of true reality. Prahlada's teachings are shockingly mature for his age, demonstrating that spiritual insight transcends conventional understanding, and that true protection comes from inner alignment with the divine, not external power or physical might. His incredible resilience to all torments is a direct manifestation of his internal state, his absolute absorption in Velar.
A child teaching profound philosophy under threat of death. Astounding. So ends chapter 17 in Book 1 of the glorious Vishnu Purana. The relentless struggle of Hiranyakashipu to break Prahlada's spirit continues, now targeting his very sustenance. The Devas inform Hiranyakashipu about Prahlada instructing other boys, further enraging the king. He immediately orders his cooks to poison him at once with the virulent halala poison, believing this will finally ensure his death.
But Prahlada's immunity proves extraordinary once again. He consciously sanctifies the virulent halahala by reciting the name of imperishable Vishnu, swallowing it with no ill effects. He remains perfectly calm, digesting the terrible dose which is rendered harmless by Vishnu's name. The fearful cooks report their failure. Undeterred, Hiranyakashipu then commands his Daitya priests to create an apparition to destroy him through sorcery. The priests approach Prahlada soothingly, attempting to persuade him to abandon his devotion. They remind him of his noble lineage and his father's greatness, arguing, "What good to you are other gods? What good is this so-called imperishable being or anyone else when your father is the refuge of all the worlds, as you will be one day?" They advise him not to venerate their enemy.
Right. Prahlada, ever respectful but subtly ironic, turns the argument back on his teachers. He acknowledges his noble lineage and his father's greatness, agreeing that a father is indeed the highest guru. However, he then finds their core question. What good is this imperishable being? To be illogical, asking, "Your questions make no sense." He mockingly repeats, "What good is this imperishable being? An excellent question indeed. I salute you, gurus." He then explains his understanding of goodness. Virtue, wealth, love, and liberation are the four goals of life, and he asserts that these four goals arise directly from the imperishable being. He cites sages who learned virtue from him, and others who acquired wealth or love, or achieved liberation by understanding his true nature. Therefore, he concludes, worship of Hari is the singular root cause of all good.
Such wisdom. The priests, enraged by Prahlada's eloquent defiance, conjure an awful apparition, a blazing figure that strikes Prahlada's chest with a spear. But Prahlada's invulnerability remains absolute. The flaming weapon bursts into 100 shards upon reaching his heart because, as the text states, the heart in which unfailing Hari dwells could resist the thunderbolt of Indra, to say nothing of a spear. In a significant turn, the apparition turns on the priests, scorching them, and then vanishes.
Wow. Despite their malicious intent, Prahlada demonstrates ultimate compassion, even for his tormentors. Seeing the priests scorched, the noble child immediately runs to them, crying, "Eternal Cone, save them!" He prays to Janardana, Vyan, to save them from the spell-born fire, emphasizing that Vyan pervades all things, is the form and author of the world, and is the guru of the world. He makes a profound statement about equanimity. As I meditate on you, even though I think they've sided with my enemy, spare these Brahmins' lives. He reinforces this. If he is free from sin despite being attacked and tortured, then the demon priest's lives should be spared by that same truth. Miraculously, all the afflicted Brahmins rise unharmed and bless Prahlada. They then report back to the Daitya king.
Just incredible. So what does this all mean for you? This chapter profoundly illustrates the principle of unwavering devotion and spiritual equanimity. Prahlada's resistance isn't physical, but entirely spiritual. His inner state of being fully absorbed in Vishnu renders him invulnerable to any external harm. His extraordinary compassion for his tormentors, despite their malicious intent, highlights a spiritual maturity far beyond his years and embodies the concept of loving one's enemies, rooted in the understanding that Vishnu is present in everyone and everything.
True strength comes from within, clearly. So ends chapter 18 in Book 1 of the glorious Vishnu Purana. Hiranyakashipu's relentless pursuit of Prahlada's destruction continues, driven by his inability to grasp the true source of his son's invulnerability. Hearing that the phantom conjured by his priest had failed, he summons Prahlada, demanding to know the origin of his strength.
And Prahlada's reply reveals the core of his philosophy, centered on non-harm and universal presence. He explains that his strength is not from a mantra or birth. It's common to all who hold in their hearts the everlasting deity. He articulates the principle of non-harm. A being who wishes no harm on others will undergo no harm, as harm will have no cause. Conversely, any harm inflicted becomes the seed of one's next birth and will result in pain. Prahlada embodies this equanimity, stating, "I wish no harm on anyone," thinking Keshava exists in every being, as he does in me. Because his mind is well disposed to everything, he cannot experience bodily or mental suffering. Wow. Enraged by this philosophical defiance, Hiranyakashipu escalates his attempts to kill the boy. He orders his minions to throw this wicked child off the roof. It's 100 leagues above the ground. Drop him on that mountain so his body's smashed upon the rocks. Prahlada's thrown, but as he falls, he holds Hari in his heart, and the earth catches him. He remains completely unharmed.
Just amazing. Desperate, Hiranyakashipu turns to Sambara, his most powerful sorcerer, commanding him to kill Prahlada. Sambara boasts, creating thousands of terrifying apparitions, but Prahlada, unfazed, masters his thoughts and contemplates Vishnu. Suddenly, the brilliant discus Sudarshana, wreathed in flames, summoned by the Lord, appears and destroys all of Sambara's apparitions. Next, Hiranyakashipu commands the drying wind to kill Prahlada. The wind enters the boy, cold and harsh, but Prahlada sets his heart on mighty Vishnu, and furious Janardana, abiding in Prahlada's heart, imbibed the wind and caused it to be still.
Nothing works. After these failed torments, Prahlada returns to his guru's home, where he is taught good governance. His guru informs Hiranyakashipu that Prahlada is now well schooled. Hiranyakashipu then examines Prahlada on royal conduct, how to treat friends and foes, navigate increase and stability. Prahlada, however, delivers a radical philosophical critique of governance. He states his guru's teachings are learned, but not correct. He challenges the very premise of friend and foe, when Govinda, you, is at the heart of all creation. He questions, because Lord Vishnu is in you, in me, and every other thing, what's the difference between my friend and him I call my enemy? He dismisses discussions based on ignorance as vain. He defines true knowledge as action that doesn't lead to bondage and sets us free, while all other action is wasted effort. For ultimate goals, he declares that seeking sovereignty or wealth is vain. One who desires greatest glory should therefore strive for virtue, and one who yearns for liberation should aspire to equanimity. He reiterates the universal unity. Deities, mortals, animals, and plants are all forms of everlasting being. One who understands this perceives the world as no different from himself, and is one with Vishnu. The result, he states, is that when this is understood, the imperishable Supreme Master Vishnu is pleased, and all afflictions cease.
Wow. This philosophical defiance pushes Hiranyakashipu to his ultimate rage. He kicks Prahlada in the chest and commands his demons to bind this boy with serpent ropes and throw him in the ocean. Don't delay. He fears the world will follow Prahlada's ideas. The Daityas bind Prahlada and throw him into the agitated sea. Hiranyakashipu orders the Daityas to pile all the rocks you Daityas find on Prahlada underwater, creating a heap 1,000 leagues high. But from below the heap of rocks on the ocean floor, Prahlada intently continues to worship Vishnu during his daily rites. His profound praise of Vishnu from these depths is a summary of his universal vision. He bows to Vishnu as the lotus-eyed deity, supreme being, heart of the world. He is the deity of the pious. He takes threefold forms: Brahma for creation, Keeper for preservation, Rudra for destruction. He is all beings and categories: gods, humans, animals, plants, and even ants. He is all elements and senses: earth, water, fire, sky, wind, sound, touch, taste, form, smell, mind, intellect, ego, time, and the qualities. Good Nas. He is knowledge and ignorance, truth and falsehood. His ultimate form is beyond description, surpasses thought, the highest spirit. He is the universal power in every being. He recites the mantra, I bow to Vasudeva, Lord. Nothing is distinct from him, but he is distinct from everything. He concludes with profound self-realization. Because that eternal being pervades all things, I am him. All this is born from me. I am all this is in me, the everlasting being. And I myself am indestructible and eternal. I'm the abode of the heart of everything. I'm the one called Brahman, the absolute, the highest being at the start and at the end.
Just unbelievable. So what does this all mean for you? Prahlada's resilience is not supernatural. It's a direct consequence of his profound, experiential understanding of Vyon's omnipresence and his own unity with the Absolute. This chapter shows that spiritual truth, when embodied through unwavering devotion, can overcome any physical or magical torment. His final praise from the ocean depths is a true climax of his spiritual realization. So ends Chapter 19 in Book 1 of the glorious Vishnu Purana. This chapter brings us to the ultimate triumph of Prahlada's unwavering devotion. Through his deep contemplation of Vishnu as unified with himself, Prahlada achieves what the text calls the highest state of oneness. In this profound absorption, he forgets his individual self, knowing only, I am indeed the unchanging, unending highest spirit.
Total absorption. As a direct result of his unwavering practice and the purification of all his sins, eternal Vishnu, knowledge itself, filled his unsullied heart. When he moves his limbs, the serpent bonds that held him snap instantly. The boundless ocean is violently agitated, and the entire world quakes, reflecting the immense cosmic shift caused by his spiritual achievement. Prahlada casts off the mountains heaped on him and rises from the ocean depths. As he beholds the world in the sky, he gradually remembers who he was, returning to a state of conscious awareness after his profound spiritual immersion.
Right. Upon his emergence, Prahlada, now firm and focused, continues to sing further praises of the beginningless highest being, with his body, voice, and mind perfectly restrained. His praise, after rising from the ocean, once again highlights Vishnu as the highest of all goals, encompassing all dualities, gross and subtle, perishable and imperishable, distinct and indistinct, fearsome and benign, knowledge and ignorance, existence and non-existence. He is one and many, the primary cause of everything. All creation arises from him, yet he is distinct from it.
And then Vishnu, Lord Hari, appears before him, clad in his radiant yellow robes. Prahlada, overwhelmed and thrown into a blissful confusion, stammers, I bow to Vishnu, and humbly asks for mercy and further purification. Vishnu, pleased with his unwavering devotion, tells him to ask for anything. Prahlada's first wish is truly profound. In whichever of myriad wombs I am reborn, may I always have undying faith in you. He also asks that the constant joy the undiscerning find in objects of the senses never leave my heart while contemplating you. This is a remarkable request. He doesn't immediately ask for liberation, but for unwavering devotion forever, knowing that such devotion implicitly leads to ultimate liberation. Vishnu grants this and offers him something else. Prahlada's second wish is an act of ultimate compassion for his tormentor, his father. He asks Vishnu to forgive the sins that he's committed because of Prahlada's devotion, listing all the tortures. He asks Vishnu to set my father free at once. Vishnu, in his boundless mercy, grants forgiveness. By my mercy, all will be as you desire, and offers yet another boon.
Wow. Prahlada, content, declares his wish is granted, and all I had to do is done, reiterating his desire for unwavering devotion. He implies that worldly pursuits like virtue, wealth, or love are secondary to one whose faith in Vishnu, the root of all worlds, is firm. Vishnu, in his final blessing, tells Prahlada, since your steady heart is filled with faith in me, you'll reach final liberation with my blessing. With that, Vishnu withdraws.
The narrative then follows Prahlada's post-liberation life. He approaches his father, pays homage, and Hiranyakashipu, now filled with regret, embraces him with tears. Prahlada dutifully serves his guru and father. Later, Hiranyakashipu is famously destroyed by Vishnu in the formidable form of Narasimha, the man-lion avatar. Prahlada then becomes the lord of the Daityas, achieving sovereignty, and has many sons and grandsons. Eventually, Prahlada sheds his worldly duties, transcends notions of good and evil, and by contemplating the Lord intently, finally accomplished liberation. The benefits of hearing this powerful story are immense. One's sins are washed away, listening frees one from misdeeds, and Hari will protect the listener, just as he protected Prahlada.
So what does this all mean for you? Prahlada's story is the ultimate narrative of bhakti devotion, so pure and unwavering that it transcends all suffering, earns divine favor, and ultimately leads to liberation, not just for the devotee, but remarkably, even for their persecutor. It shows that true power lies not in control or force, but in absolute surrender, universal love, and the realization of divine presence within oneself and all beings. It's really the climax of Book 1. So ends Chapter 20 in Book 1 of the glorious Vishnu Purana. Okay, we return to the vast genealogical tapestry now, delving into Kaishyapa's immense progeny to complete the intricate picture of cosmic creation. The chapter first provides a recap of the Daitya lineage, listing Prahlada's brother Salada's sons, Prahlada's son Virokana, and Hiranya's sons.
Yes, and this chapter meticulously details the diverse children of Kaishyapa's many wives, showing how every realm of existence is populated through these divine and semi-divine lineages. Danu's sons are the Danavas, including many mighty figures. Their descendants greatly swelled the demonic ranks. Tamra's daughters are mothers of various bird and animal lineages, everything from parrots to donkeys. Vinata's sons are two famous figures, Garuta, the mighty eagle, and Aruta, the charioteer of the sun. Suras's progeny are 1,000 great multi-headed snakes. Kadra's progeny are another 1,000 multi-headed serpents, subject to Garuta. Krodhavasha's progeny are pitiless carnivores. Suravi's progeny are cattle and buffalo. Ira's progeny are trees, vines, and grass. Other wives give rise to yakas, akasas, apsasas, and gandharvas. This incredible detailing shows that Kaishyapa's descendants, both moving and unmoving, number in the hundreds of thousands, truly populating every sphere of existence. These elaborate genealogies highlight the intricate web of cosmic relationships and the divine origin of all forms of life, from the lowliest grass to the most powerful deities and demons.
The chapter then presents a fascinating cosmic drama. The origin of the Maruts, the wind deities. The text first explains the cyclical rebirth of these 33 divine hosts, who are reborn of their own volition at the end of 1,000 ages, perpetually subject to birth and death. This cyclicality sets the stage for the story of Diti and Indra. Nini, the mother of the Daityas, was distraught after her sons were annihilated. Driven by vengeance, she seeks revenge and pleases Kaishyapa, asking for a son capable of slaying Indra. Kaishyapa grants her wish on the condition that she bear the infant for 100 years with perfect purity and love. Indra, knowing the prophecy, cleverly adopts a counter-strategy. He respectfully waits upon Diti, looking for an opportunity. In the 99th year, Diti forgets to wash her feet, thus becoming impure. Indra seizes this precise moment and enters her womb. With his Vajra, his thunderbolt, Indra cuts the mighty fetus into 7 pieces. The infant wails. Indra repeatedly says, "Don't cry. Maro day." Even so, his anger grows, and he cuts each of the 7 pieces into 7 more, resulting in 49 pieces. These become the speeding deities of the wind, called Maruts, because Indra said Maro day. They then become companions to Indra, illustrating a complex origin that blends vengeance, purity, and divine command.
Yeah, it's a wild story. So what does this all mean for you, the listener? This chapter profoundly rounds out the creation narrative by detailing the intricate interrelationships of the various classes of beings. The origin of the Maruts is a compelling example of how divine intervention, subtle shifts in purity or impurity, and even a simple command can shape the very forces of nature and the composition of the celestial pantheon. It also emphasizes the ongoing cosmic struggle between divine and demonic forces and the cyclical nature of divine roles and rebirths, all orchestrated within the grand framework of Vishnu's design.
It really brings all the threads together. So ends Chapter 21 in Book 1 of the glorious Vishnu Purana. We've reached the final chapter of Book 1, which brings us to the formal establishment of cosmic order and a profound philosophical summary of the Absolute itself. After Pothu's anointing as sovereign of Earth, Brahma, the grandsire of the world, formally bestows other sovereignties, ensuring a meticulously organized cosmos.
Right. The text provides a detailed cosmic hierarchy and system of divine governance. Brahma makes specific appointments for various realms. Soma, the moon, is made sovereign over stars, planets, and plant life. Vaishrava and Kubera over kings. Varud over waters. Vyanu over the Idyas. Prahlada over the Daityas and Danavas, a highly significant appointment given his recent history. Yama over the Pittas, ancestral spirits. Garud over birds, and the lion over beasts. The text emphasizes that all these sovereigns, past, present, and future, are ultimately aspects of Vishnu, who himself is all creation. Hari alone possesses the power to preserve the world, creating it, preserving it, and destroying it in turn.
The Purana then unpacks Vishnu's 4 aspects in each cosmic phase: creation, preservation, and destruction, providing deeper insight into his dynamic presence. During creation, his aspects are Brahma, the patriarchs, time, and all other creatures. For preservation, his aspects are Vishnu himself, Manu, the patriarchs, time, and all creatures. During destruction, his aspects are Rudra, various gods, time, and all creatures. This highlights the continuity of power. Brahma, Dakar, patriarchs, time, and creatures are all manifestations of Hari's power for creation. These four aspects of Vyu are essential for the world's creation and destruction. Ultimately, anything brought forth by a living being is Hari's body, and anything that destroys a creature is Janardana's destructive form. He is the creator, preserver, the world itself, its destroyer, and the universal Lord.
Absolutely. This naturally leads Maitreya to ask, what is the true nature of the absolute beyond these manifest forms? The Purana then delves into the highest philosophical insights into the absolute. It differentiates between the means, the path to a goal, and the goal itself, which is the highest absolute from which there is no return. It presents four forms of the absolute as knowledge: discrimination, knowledge of causes, inseparability, non-duality, the profound knowledge that the goal and the means are ultimately one, and true self, the ultimate knowledge revealing the self as free from action, inexpressible, omnipresent, tranquil, and pure. Ascetics achieving absorption in this state will never take root in worldly existence, signifying ultimate liberation. This state is pure, eternal, universal, undecaying, and faultless. The text also explains two states of the absolute: one with form, which is perishable and encompasses all this world, and the other without form, which is eternal and represents the highest absolute. A hierarchy of manifestation is presented: Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva as primary forms, then lesser deities, patriarchs, humans, animals, plants, each reflecting decreasing intensity of divine power from the source. The world appears and disappears, seemingly subject to birth and death, though it is fundamentally imperishable and eternal. Vishnu, who comprises all power, is presented as the highest form of the absolute, the form on which ascetics first meditate, leading to perfect identity with the deity. The ultimate identity is clear. Vishnu is superior, identical with the absolute. Hari consists entirely of the absolute. The world arises from him, abides in him, and is indeed identical with him. The chapter concludes by explaining the symbolism of Vishnu's divine attributes, showing how he cosmically upholds the world through his ornaments and weapons. The kaustubha jewel on his breast represents the unblemished essence of the world. The shrivatsa, whorl of hair in his chest, embodies all primal matter. His mace symbolizes primal intellect. The conch and bow represent twofold individuation. The discus signifies the primal mind. The Vaijayanti garland is the fivefold wreath of fundamental elements. His many arrows represent all faculties. His sword embodies knowledge-wisdom sheathed in ignorance. All these things, primal spirit, matter, intellect, individuation, elements, mind, senses, knowledge, and the entire world, all abide in Hyokesha, or Vishnu. Hari, though formless, adopts these forms for the benefit of all living beings. He is knowledge and ignorance, existent and non-existent. He appears as time and upholds the seven realms. He is the essence of the world. The Vedas and all texts are his body in the form of sound. All things, with and without form, are his body.
It's a beautiful summation. So what does this all mean for you? This final chapter beautifully synthesizes the entire Book 1, revealing the ultimate teaching of the Vishnu Purana, the understanding that I am Hari, all this is Janardana. There is no cause or effect other than him, leads to liberation from repeated rebirths. It demonstrates Vishnu's omnipresence as the ultimate reality, the underlying truth behind all creation, preservation, and destruction, and the ultimate goal of all spiritual pursuit. The benefits of hearing Book 1 are also clearly stated. One is freed from all misdeeds, acquires great merit, and is bestowed the status of deity, sage, or ancestral spirit. So ends Chapter 22 in Book 1 of the glorious Vishnu Purana. Okay, let's unpack this a bit. We've journeyed through an incredible tapestry of creation myths, divine lineages, cosmic cycles of time, and the profound philosophical insights that underpin this ancient text. From the genesis of the elements to the inspiring stories of Dhruva and Prahlada, we've seen how deeply interconnected the physical and spiritual realms truly are, all emanating from and sustained by the Absolute. The narrative consistently serves as a powerful reminder that understanding our place in the universe isn't just about external facts. It's fundamentally about recognizing the divine within ourselves and permeating the world around us.
Absolutely. If we connect this to the bigger picture, the Vishnu Purana offers a comprehensive path not just to knowledge, but to ultimate liberation. It illustrates, through its rich myths and elaborate genealogies, the timeless principles of devotion, bhakti, righteous conduct, dharma, and the ultimate unity of all existence. It challenges us to look beyond superficial appearances, beyond conflict, suffering, and mundane details, to perceive the underlying divine reality in all things. It's a call to profound, unified understanding.
Yeah. So what does this all mean for you? Consider how the seemingly mundane actions of your day, your choices, your relationships, your responses to challenges might, like the ancient sacrifices described in the Purana, contribute to or detract from a larger cosmic order. How might a simple shift in perspective, seeing the divine, the infinite view in every aspect of life, transform your own experience of the world and your place within it? Perhaps the deepest dive isn't just into ancient texts, but into the very fabric of our own reality. Something to ponder. Thus concludes the major symbolic and narrative revelations of Book 1 of the glorious Vishnu Purana.